Today's honestly quite a sad day as a very long-time Halo fan. The new season of Halo Infinite has came out. Recently in the channel, I outlined the whole history of Halo Infinite, why things have turned out this way, some of the future promise, and their plans. And while those plans may be good, ultimately, right now, today, they're faced with quite a large number of issues. Today we've got to talk about player counts, which are looking rather lackluster. We've got to talk about changes made that nobody really asked for that are feeling like fun police, and generally how they have managed to, well, kind of completely lose the narrative on their own game, even though they really do seem to have been upping their communication efforts.
Yeah, it's that case of here's what we've done over 6 months. We've been hard at work on Season 2 for 6 months, and this is what's going to inform the, unfortunately, another 6 months of what you're playing. And it's come out and everyone's like, is that it? Is that all you could do? This is us for another half a year. Whenever, by the time that half a year's up, Modern Warfare 3 is going to be out. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Modern Warfare 2. Damn.
And the thing is, technically that's not true. Because they have drop pods coming, as they are calling them. Now the problem is, I think the more close coming drop pods are more about quality of life and things like that. Eventually they see those as being a way to, on a monthly-ish basis, have content be added to the game. But I think ultimately, not enough people actually know what a drop pod is. The day one experience hasn't been everything they've wanted. Therefore, it's like, sure, that's a fine plan, bro, but they are not feeling that as players, and it's not instilling confidence, and that's where we've got to get into things. So a bump of players did happen, okay? So if you take a look at these Steam charts, you can see we're moving up to 21,403 players on Steam whenever this comes out. Previously, I think we were the mid 7,000s to the mid 9,000s was our daily peak.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah. So doubled, which I guess is good. You can see that the Twitch viewership also, is bumped up a wee bit, but not a massive amount. This is not a humongous game on Twitch. And then when we take a look at the Steam reviews, well, we do unfortunately see a lot of negatives to come with those positives.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of an update. It's another point for people to look into your game, and if they look into your game and say it's still not good, or it's not good, or I was holding off on reviewing this game because I wanted to see what the first update would bring, and this is what it's brought. Okay, now is time for me to fire down my negative review.
Yeah, this shit's tragic. Honestly. So when we go to why players are pissed off here, there were a few surprises. You could quite literally say surprise mechanics, because there were surprise mechanical changes that people didn't exactly look for. And it's a strange thing of when you're doing a live game like this, what audience do you balance the game for? What audience do you make the game for? You mentioned Call of Duty earlier, Modern Warfare 2019, wildly successful game, extremely controversial with its competitive player base. Dextero had a pretty good headline, we thought. 343 lost Halo Infinite's casual crowd. Now devs are driving away hardcore players too, saying inexplicable updates that go against the core principle of fun have left even the most seasoned veterans searching elsewhere for their multiplayer fix. That's rough. Yeah,
now obviously Dexerto being big on the esports stuff, big on the SEO stuff, is going to kind of, I guess, blow this up a little bit out of proportion, where seasoned veterans searching elsewhere is in reference to one player who left Apex for Halo and is now going back to Apex. So a little bit out of proportion, but their point is there. What they're trying to say about they are targeting who? Because the hardcore players aren't happy with changes. They're getting big nerfs to the skill ceiling in the game, and then casual players aren't there anyway. So what are you doing?
Yeah, so some of these changes, the sort of anti-fun stuff, and certainly if you're the type that would know of a player like, say, Fantasy, you maybe were watching some Call of Duty 2 pro gameplay or pro mod pro gameplay, people will know that fancy jumps and all of those things, and of course within the Halo franchise as well, they're a part of the fun. Being able to execute a really cool jump to get to a really cool position. And obviously you can't have totally busted stuff, but a little bit of that in there is actually quite fun. So they've removed a whole bunch of skill jumps. And now here's from a Halo esports host and commentator. I make skill jump videos inspiring people to invest more time in Halo and appreciate mechanics that make it unique and exciting. yeah, the way the movement feels in Halo is Halo. No one else does it like that.
It's great, yeah.
Well, they go through lengths to communicate balanced stuff, talk about making the game approachable to everybody, and then this just gets patched with no warning. And then what's very interesting is we have this guy here, Blaze, Blaze, who is an ex-developer of 343, saying someone literally had to go out of their way to spend valuable time to remove features that are important to major sub-communities of their game, not only invalidating the time commitment of those already, who already invested in learning and teaching, but also deterring them from continuing.
Yeah.
Faith. People need to have faith that the thing they're investing their time in is going to be relatively stable. And that's when you have a world of dwindling player counts. Okay, it's not at Lawbreakers tier, but the player counts are dwindling. That's going to shake people's faith. It's going to make them think, it doesn't make that much sense for me to spend a hell of a lot of time in this game. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing. You should play the game that's fun, but ultimately people, they play CSGO because it's like, oh, CSGO. It's almost like chess. And it's like this big game that's respected, similar for Valorant. If they don't have that level of confidence, and then the little shred of cool shit that they can do in the game, if that then gets a perceived assault from the devs, then that's bad.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When you have arena shooters, a lot of them were poor, basically praised for having that insane skill ceiling, for having that massive investment you can have. And obviously there is that in the core Halo skills, of course, of the shooting, of the aiming, of everything else. But when it comes to this stuff that you're like, okay, well, this is going to drive so much gameplay for people who really want to super excel at the game. But then you look from the developer's perspective and go, well, that's not part of our design. That's not part of our great plan for how Halo should be played perfectly. What that does is that throws off all of this carefully planned map making that we've done around, how long it takes someone to spawn and get to a drop, how long it takes, how much control you have over a specific area of the map based on where you spawn, and these shortcuts are just destroying it. And they're like, okay, well, that's unintended, let's remove it. But I was like, yeah, you didn't design it, but it was fun. It was more fun.
That's the really hard thing with audience disconnects in games like this,
yep.
where you can see it from both sides quite clearly. Mm-hmm. And for other things, drop slides were nerfed, which people are a little bit mixed on. Also, some fun campaign things. There was a tank gun that was basically it's like the gun from a Scorpion that you could just pick up. Mm-hmm. It was only at 1 bit in the campaign, but they've removed that. Fusion coil jumps. Those are gone. You just pick up the fusion coil instead when you grapple it. And the Pelican flight bug is gone. Of course, the idea of flying a Pelican in Halo is something people have wanted for a very long time. There are times in the past, like in Halo 4, where there's that bit in the campaign where you fly the Pelican, but I think flying the Pelican is way cooler in a big open map like this. Exactly. So it's very unfortunate, and that will totally make people think, fun, please. And in a world where you're already really struggling with your player base, the last thing you want is fun, please.
Exactly, especially when it comes to talking about sub-communities, there's the competitive community for PvP who are being, kind of pushed out by those changes. But then there's also the speedrunning community who, stuff like that, absolutely fantastic. Fusion coil jumps, Pelican, tank gun, all of those are really cool strategies you could use in a campaign speedrun and have been used to great effect for basically not even just to be cynical, but decent marketing of, look at how much skill depth there is in trying to master how you move in this Halo campaign. I think that's really interesting. And they just kind of went, no, that's not part of the grand plan. And that's just really unfortunate, especially whenever back in December, The Verge had an interview with a couple of the creative director and someone else. And they said, Halo, this is from the headline, Halo Infinite's creators say your wildest stunts are part of the series DNA. And then there's quotes from them saying, it would actually have to be something that causes the game to lock up for us to be wanting to stop it. And unless it's brick blocking, player progression, or their ability to enjoy the game, we'll fix it. Otherwise, we love seeing that kind of stuff. And that's the thing where, hey, we've said this. We've said, do whatever you want. If you find a bug in our game that's really cool to play with, we'll let you have it. And that's so much of Halo DNA with Warthog jumping and stuff like that. And now maybe it's just detached contract QA, just sorting out bugs without bringing them up.
Yeah, just going through their tickets.
Yeah, something like that. But it's this case where the leads of the team have now been made liars by what 343 have actually done for the community.
And then unfortunately we've got to tackle challenges. Halo Infinite has got, I think, one of the worst progression systems put into a live game.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know, maybe the Battlefield games have ended up being worse, but certainly the challenges are shockingly badly designed in this game. Like, even just the idea that you don't have career level progress is wild. But yes, so the challenges, they are better than they were at launch. That's for sure. But in a world where they had challenge swap consumables, that then just makes people think that the friction of challenges is almost intended. Yeah. And that is a very strange feeling to have. But the challenges, of course, are mode-specific, but then the problem is you can't really just go and play a single mode reliably. There's also a bug with the Last Spartan Standing challenge progress, where that would just be lost if you left early, despite the game saying it was fine. Also, then, just the fact that it forces you into certain types of, gameplay, that just makes people feel like the only way the game wants them to play is through the lens of filling out these challenges. And you might say, well, all right, sure, just play the game mode you like, gamer. But, I mean, the devs put the reward systems and the progression systems in there with intent. Mm-hmm. So if their intent is going against what's the most fun for a player, that's evidently a problem. And sure, we can blame players for just being focused on bing, bing, wahoo, get XP, do the thing. But it's the devs who made it that way.
Yeah, no, that is entirely the developers and, like, widely speaking, the industry's fault for forcing that on players for so long, for training players to play for rewards, to play for customization and stuff, as opposed to having fun. Another kind of almost like it's a parasite that's attached to the fun part, kind of draining the fun part out to try to get the playtime hooks in there.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing, because if you are playing a game like this, you have an incredible round, you get a fuckload of XP. I'd even think about this in, say, an early Call of Duty game. You start off, it's day one of the game, you don't have many of the guns or anything unlocked, but you go in, you get your M4 or whatever, you just have an incredible match. Maybe 25 kills, 4 deaths or something. You get so much XP. You've completed a few challenges. And then whenever you get to the score screen at the end, because you've done so well in the game, the bar is just going, yum, yum, yum. You're having little badges appear, and that to people feels good. In Halo, let's say you get a bunch of double kills. Maybe you get a Kilimanjaro somehow because you're really fucking good. You get all those badges. Oh. That's not about those. It's about filling out the challenges. Yeah. So that disconnect between you just doing really well in a match. I even felt like when I was playing a Halo Infinite, oh, okay, I have to use the Mangler because of this challenge. And there are things there that they have made less restrictive based on when, or compared to when we were playing a bunch of Halo earlier. But it is still a terrible system that makes no bloody sense. And I think if you just look at some of these reviews and popular Reddit threads, they are bang on emotionally.
Yeah.
Right? I can lead my team, kill every opponent over and over again, and fuck it. That just doesn't matter because I didn't 360 no-scope a guy driving a mongoose at 7:32 on a Tuesday while eating brunch food. Reminds me of a time when it's one of the Star Trek, the original series episodes where Kirk is making up a fake card game to distract some guards, and he's got rules like, oh no, it's only like that on a Wednesday. And it's that level of bewilderment, and this feels fucked, that Kirk is putting into those guards or whatever, is totally what this challenge system does. It's so silly. You can feel like you're playing the game wrong, but then they put in all of these aspects that are weird, like, let's just say, the XP boost that they give you, or they don't have as many consumables in the Battle Pass for Season 2. In Season 1, they did have loads of consumables, though. So you get consumables like double XP. So as soon as you use your double XP, you're no longer thinking about playing Halo Infinite to have fun. You're thinking about, oh shit, well, I've got double XP. It only lasts X amount of real time. I now have got to get all my challenges within this amount of time. But what happens if the playlist doesn't give you a game mode or whatever that fits the challenges you've got? Then you're fucked. Absolutely. All of these examples of ludicrously terrible design. This is a situation where game designers have made a brilliant game, and then the progression designers and business people, whoever, have basically shot it. This thing is riddled with bullets, and it is firmly the fault of whoever at 343 or Microsoft thought that this progression system, this way of monetizing the game, that it would work.
Yeah, it's part of the whole free-to-play thing. Okay, free to play, we need to get more money. We'll live service it because live services make a load of money. And it's a Halo live service. What could possibly go wrong?
Just that I think that's that's literally true, but I think it's partially not true. So everyone who buys Halo is going to want to play the single player.
Yeah.
So in people's heads, Halo Infinite is an experience that they have paid that quantity of money for. And whether the multiplayer comes for free with the campaign or is a separate free-to-play game, in their head, it's the new Halo game with a Halo campaign and a multiplayer. So for so many people, they're not really getting the benefits of free-to-play.
Yeah.
At least the core Halo fans, because they would have bought this thing anyway. All they see from the free-to-play shift from this business model is negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny you were talking about the whole way you used to just go do really well in a game, get loads of XP. I was thinking about all of like the deep dives we did into motivational psychology for the MMO stuff, and that is basically accidentally bang on.
Yeah.
Where in terms of the idea of you literally, if you feel good after performing well, you're going to be more intrinsically motivated to enjoy the game more. And that even ties well with the XP boost, like setting up yourself for a great bit of gameplay. And it's like the negative stuff there of just not getting too much XP is not a problem, but the challenges have so much more downsides and no positives. It's wild.
Yeah, it's as if they saw what challenges can do for a game like Call of Duty and completely misunderstood how they work.
Exactly, yeah.
They could have challenges and match-based if they really wanted to. It just feels like they didn't have this shit ready in time, which is baffling. Now, there's the other issue with the Season Pass. Now, there is the good thing about the Season Pass in this game, where if you buy a Season Pass but you don't fill it out, you don't lose it. You can just swap back to it, keep on playing, and earn XP on that pass. So at least they're not doing a thing where they're going to ask you for $10 for a pass and then kind of hold you to the game for a long time. Though with the dwindling player counts, maybe they, at this stage, wish they were cajoling people to play the game more. But of course, buying the premium season pass gives you access to 4 challenges at once instead of 3. So also some of your progression curve. Now, there is a slight downside to that where, okay, so you buy Season 1, you get 4 challenges. Then it goes from Season 1 to Season 2. You don't buy Season 2, and you go back to Season 1. Because you haven't bought the recent Battle Pass, you only have 3 challenges, not 4. Yep. So that's like a little bit not feeling good. Now, the funny thing here is that the bit of good news is actually the content. So the last Spartan Standing mode looks to be great.
Yeah,
Little
absolutely.
bare bones, but overall looks quite great, seems to be received well. If I was in the middle of MMO land, I probably would be playing it right now. Other interesting things, 120 hertz on a Series S.
Mad if it actually reaches that, yeah.
Impressive, that's brilliant. Yeah, there's of course other new things. 2 new maps, 1 for Arena, 1 for Big Team Battle. Also new rotating playlists. This is bringing back a thing we've generally liked from Halo, where there's Ninja Slayer, Vampire Ball, and Rocket Repulsors. So for those, Ninja Slayer, right, you've got infinite ammo, energy sword, and a grapple shot. Right? And grapple shot's the only power equipment in the map. So you can have a think about how fun that would be. Vampire Ball, which is an oddball mode where the skull carrier is no longer nerfed, and instead the skull is a one-hit kill with 50% shield vampire. So you can just go clobber a whole team if you set it up right. Rocket Repulsors, infinite ammo rocket launchers, but then the repulsor equipment, which basically you kind of do like a weird punch up in the air, and it will repulse anything coming at you. So those seem like 3 awesome modes. And because they've lost the narrative, people aren't talking about them. But then, of course, there's other modes. So King of the Hill is now in Ranked and Quick Play and its own playlist. Land Grab is a new game mode that is tied to the Entrenched event. Now, normally, that would then disappear when the event disappears. Yeah. But you can then access the event playlist after the event. Yep. Right? So it's not like it's just a little one-time thing. There's Attrition, which was in Season 1. That is now back for Quick Play and Custom as well. So these are all good changes, but certainly it shows that in those 6 months, they've been building out the team to make this game for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, rather than making content for now. And in some ways, that's the correct decision, but there is another way where the short-term performance will perhaps mean that the long-term performance won't be worth investing in, do you then end up in basically a Battlefield-like situation where it's like, oh, Battlefield 5 hasn't done well enough. Guess we'll cut that short, move on to 2042. Then per Tom Henderson's reporting, 2042, they're like, okay, shit, well, this one's a wash. We'll roll those learnings into the next Battlefield game. I think the only thing here is that Microsoft are very tied to Halo.
Yeah.
I think they know that they need to stick with this for the long run and earn people back. I think there's just a difference between the first and third party incentives. I think they know they can't just do another Halo in 2 years and sort of, oh, goodbye, Halo Infinite. Here's Halo Infinite. Or so they can't really pull an EA with Battlefield. They just can't do that with Halo. So I imagine this is a game that's going to keep on getting better and better and better. It's just the initial stumbles and the pointless losses because the core game's brilliant. The core game is one of the most fun shooters I've played. That's what makes this whole situation seem so insane to me.
Yeah, there's just so many people with their pitchforks at 343's door, but like, you cannot handle Halo. At the same time, they're going, but you did make a really, really good version of Halo that we all really like to play. It's just that everything else around it is really throwing us off and putting us away from your game.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they fix that, great, but it looks like that'll be a long time away, and how long is too long, basically.
Yeah. How could you make such a great Halo and then completely squander it with needless losses? Wild. That's basically the situation then with Halo Infinite. Overall, I think that if you boot it up and play it, you'll probably have a bunch of fun. There are loads of good changes. If you are interested in the progression stuff, it's still not a good system. It is better than Season 1. The new maps, game modes, those all do look really fun. And I have a feeling that the vast majority of players are not spending most of their time doing skill jumps in maps. No. So for what your actual Halo experience could be and what mine would be, it's a better game now. And I totally do intend on hopping back into Season 2 and having some fun because I really enjoy Halo. It is just sad that they've taken these pointless losses and that they've lost control of their own narrative. And that's essentially it for the story. So I guess, are you coming back for Season 2? And maybe a final thought to leave us on is the PC audience going to be the most fickle with the highest amount of other options and kind of like the most quickly critical of these decisions because perhaps they're a bit more engaged because when they're on their PC, they can just alt-tab over to the Halo Reddit.
Definitely.
And I then wonder, how is this thing actually just doing on Xboxes? Is it a situation where on PC we are really maximally seeing all of the problems? Is there a hidden slice of people just playing on Xbox unaware of this kind of stuff?
I haven't actually checked since the update, but before the update it was down there alongside Vanguard, which wasn't performing very well based on like the top Xbox games. So there's no like super solid statistics for it, but it's definitely not at the top where they want it to be. Other shooters are up there.
Right.
The competition's up there. Apex, Fortnite, those BRs, they're all up there. Halo's not.
Well, let's hope they earn it back. It'd be very sad for Halo to go out like this. All right, let me know what you're going to do with this game. See you next time.